Adam here from the Walser Automotive Group, and what I want to do today is take you on a test drive. So next to me here, I have a 2025 Mazda CX-5. Now we'll look at the interior, exterior, some of the trim level specifics, then go for a spin around, see what it's like out on the road. All right, so now we're behind the wheel of the 25 Mazda CX-5, and this is the 2.5S Preferred. So I think there's about 8 different trim levels in the CX-5 lineup, a couple different engine options, so it can get a little bit confusing. Now the 2.5 would be the base engine, but both of them are going to come with 6-speed automatic transmissions. So I know we get a lot of comments about CVTs, but this is no matter which one, if you're looking at the turbo or the base model, will come with a 6-speed, which is going to be really nice. It is important to note that all Mazda SUVs, no matter which one you're looking in the lineup, will come standard with their all-wheel drive. So whether you're tackling those Minnesota winters, maybe you're running down a trail to the cabin, these will certainly have the sure-footedness you need, and it also doesn't really affect too much on the fuel economy, which we'll touch on in a little bit. Now for 2025, there wasn't a lot of major changes. I think they brought back the S trim, changed a few things with a couple of the carbon packages. There's wireless CarPlay in some now. You get the full 360 surround view camera, so we'll save some of that stuff. But today we'll kind of focus on the Preferred trim. So while this is a little bit lower down the food chain in the CX-5 lineup, there's a ton of good stuff in here. So for now, let's put it in drive. We'll go for a spin around and touch on some of those cool features. So the horsepower difference between the turbo and the non-turbo, we're looking at about 187 horsepower versus 256 horsepower if you go up to the turbocharged model. Now, of course, that does come with a little bit of a price tag as well. The fuel economy can dip a little bit because of that turbocharger. Now, this particular one is rated at 29 mpg on the highway. So that's a pretty great fuel economy out of a mid-size SUV. Now, the Mazda CX-5 has been around for a long time and for good reason. It just works. There's a lot of people I know driving these vehicles. They love them. I mean, it's really just an A to B vehicle. There's a ton of space in here, and everything just kind of comes together as one solid little package. Now on the exterior of this vehicle, this is their Soul Red metallic color. It looks so good. It was their press color for the CX-5 and maybe some of the Miatas and some other stuff because it just catches your eye. Every time I see one on the road, you always notice it because it's a stunning color and it just works on these CX-5s. Now, this particular Preferred package will have the 17-inch wheels, which I really like because you get a ton of sidewall. You're not going up to like a 20-inch wheel on the CX-5. They still do keep sidewall on most of them, but this provides a really quiet and comfortable ride when you're out on the road. It's road construction season, there's potholes everywhere, but just having that little bit of extra sidewall does make a pretty big difference, so it's definitely a plus for me for the Preferred model. Now, a few other things on the outside, depending on if you're looking at the carbon or the turbo or a few other things, it can change a little bit of the grille or the design on the wheels, but for the most part, the CX-5 is going to remain pretty standard across the board. So one thing that's really nice in the CX-5 is the usability in the back. So with the power liftgate, this actually has split folding rear seats, and it's not the 60-40 split, but you can actually do it 3 different ways. So there's these convenient little handles you can pull in the back that kicks down the left side, the right side, or the middle. Kids got the hockey bags, you can throw the sticks in the middle. There's so many ways that it just makes this very usable. And these Mazda CX-5s can eat up a ton of equipment and gear in the back without even thinking about it. Now, one thing we always get questions on is the spare tire. So do you get the spare back there? The answer is yes. There's not a tire mobility kit in this model. It actually does come with a spare tire. I know that's very important to some people, so it's great that Mazda does still offer that. Now, in the second row of this vehicle, there's actually quite a bit of space. Yes, it's a little bit smaller. If you need even more room or you want the third row, you can go up to the CX-90, or if you just want the second row, you can do the CX-70. But I'm always amazed at just how much room are in these vehicles. And in the back where I was sitting, I've got headroom. There's vents back there, which are comfortable for maybe the kids or for the dogs. And then you've also got USB and USB-C charging in the fold-down armrest. So you can kind of keep things out of sight that way if you want, but the seats also kind of tip back or recline a little bit. This is a great road trip vehicle. Great MPGs, tons of comfort in here, and I think pretty great style on the outside. Definitely makes this a pretty unique little car. But it doesn't drive like a mid-size SUV. That's one thing I've always loved and appreciated about Mazdas. They put a ton of time and effort into making these fun to drive. There's kind of a soul with these vehicles, if that makes sense. You actually feel like you're gonna have fun when you hop behind the wheel. You hop in, you've got the key fob, it's keyless entry on the outside, push button start as well on the Preferred model. So it just makes it really easy, sporty, and just kind of a no-brainer. But then from the driver's seat, Now there is quite a bit of technology and safety in here. So starting with the safety features, standard, you're gonna have the adaptive cruise control. So you can set that 4, 3, 2, 1 car length distance ahead of you. It will keep that distance on the road. I love that feature. And you've also got blind spot monitoring, some emergency braking, and that kind of lane departure warning system. So like I said, maybe you're heading out on a road trip, not paying attention, maybe yelling at someone in the back seat. The Mazda will certainly have its eyes on the road for you, which is always great. Now, along with that, I've got my phone plugged in down here in the armrest, and I've got Apple CarPlay as well as Android Auto. So some of the Mazda CX-5s will get a wireless system. This one is still wired for the preferred package, but I don't mind. I'm not messing with my phone when I'm on the go. There's USB plugs in the armrest here. It just makes it simple. Text messaging, Google Maps, Spotify, it's all built into that CarPlay system, and it's also a touch screen, so you can program that in the settings if you want, or you can use the little controller down here, which I think is even safer. So you can click the buttons. Once you kind of figure out the hotkeys like a keyboard down here, you can skip between your music, your nav. It just makes it so simple when you're on the move that you're not messing with your phone. You can even use Siri on the steering wheel. So if you press and hold the little phone button here, that'll pop up and you can ask it to do a bunch of commands. Really cool stuff there. Then this one also gets a crystal clear backup camera. It is so good, and like I said, if you go up the trim levels, if you want to do that surround view monitor, but really the backup camera is so good in this model, I think it's more than enough. But you know, it's always nice to have some of the parking sensors, the full look around, but I think in a pinch, this certainly works. Getting out of your driveway or a busy parking spot, that is pretty cool there. Now on the gauge cluster, this still does keep physical gauges, where a lot of manufacturers are kind of going to just one screen. This is going to have your RPMs and your speedometer on the side, but then you do get a little digital display on the right. So on the left side of the steering wheel, you can go through, just kind of see your range that you would have, your MPGs, maybe when your service is going to be due, and then that adaptive cruise control. So it's pretty simplified. You don't have to go through 15 screens to find what you're looking for. Just your trip computer in there, some of the safety settings, easy as that. Now this one does get leather appointed seats as part of the preferred package, and another thing that's cool, I've got lumbar, I've got a power seat and memory seats on this side, plus the passenger seat is also going to be a power seat. So if there's two of you in the car, you're both going to be comfortable because these also are heated for the driver and the passenger. Now as you work your way up the lineup, you can even add other things like a heated steering wheel or ventilated seats, but I think is, like I said, kind of one of the lower tier trim levels. There's so much cool equipment in here, like the leather seats, the CarPlay. This one also gets a sunroof up above. I mean, you're really just adding a ton of creature comforts as you work up the way, but being the preferred, I mean, there's a lot to like here in this trim level. Now we do have to touch on the price. So MSRP on this vehicle is going to be around $33,000, depending on some of the port installed options that come into these vehicles. But I mean, if you're looking at the average new car price right now in the US, I think it's now over $50,000. So this one's coming in almost 20 grand back of that, yet you're getting leather heated seats, a sunroof, power liftgate, the CarPlay. I mean, there's a lot to really like on these Mazdas. Not to mention reliability on these CX-5s has always been so awesome. Plus, when you shop with Walser, we even offer an 8-year, 100,000 mile powertrain warranty. That means you can do a lot of miles pretty worry-free on the road and get great fuel economy and style along the way. Now, just a few other little simple things in here. You do have a different drive mode, so you can go into a sport mode. Kind of changes the shift points a little bit. Like I said, these are fun to drive, and if you're maybe in a hurry, maybe just want to have a little bit of fun, you can kick that sport mode on and do it that way. There's also a dual zone climate control in here. I mean, the list goes on and on. The 2.5S, I mean, if you want the better fuel economy and you don't want the turbo, it certainly makes sense. The turbo is a little bit more fun to drive if we're being honest, but again, the sacrifice for what you're getting out of the fuel economy this way and keeping that price down a little bit, I think it's an excellent option to look at. Whether you're shopping Honda, Toyota, maybe Nissan, there's so many great vehicles out right now, but I mean, there's a reason you see a lot of Mazda CX-5s on the road because they just work, they're easy to drive, they're fun, and I've driven them a bunch in the wintertime. These are excellent vehicles in the snow as well. So just another little thing down here, this one next to the controller will also have a volume knob. So you've obviously got your volume controls up here on the steering wheel, but if the passenger wants to change volume or you just want to make it easy, I love this little setup down here. It feels like it was kind of plucked out of one of those German luxury vehicles. They had those controllers for a long time and it just kind of classes up the interior. That's one thing with Mazda, is to me it kind of outkicks the coverage a little bit in terms of luxury on the interior. Being that this is almost a base model with leather seats, just kind of the appointments on the dash. The stitching is beautiful in here, the aluminum kind of look and the vents. The way everything is laid out just works together so nicely. I mean, I can't say enough good things about the Mazda CX-5s. I have friends and family members driving these because they work. That's really what it comes down to. They're great vehicles that you can literally just hop in, you can throw anyone the keys to and spend the afternoon driving the vehicle, whether you're running to work, picking up the kids. It really is a do-it-all vehicle. And I think, like I said, absolutely one to add to the list to come out, take for a spin, and see what you think. Now that was just a quick look and drive at the 25 Mazda CX-5. Now if you have any other questions or you'd like to schedule a test drive, you can visit us online at walser.com or stop by either one of our Mazda locations. We'd be more than happy to help. Thanks again for watching.